Thank you, Madam Chairman, and appreciate that, and thank everyone for being here. Look, the most productive worker in the world is the United States worker, employee, no question about it. My dad was one of them, a union member. Worked for B.F. Goodrich Company making heels for shoes, and did after World War II. He lost his job, was outsourced to Mexico, and Dr. Rosenfeld, I appreciate your research, but I think it's a little more complicated. One worker in four, 1960, was in manufacturing. Today, less than 8% of Americans are. In 2016, we lost 20,000 manufacturing jobs, and thank goodness President Trump has tried to bring these back. We've added 600,000 manufacturing, good-paying jobs for American workers, and I think that's one of the problems we lost, where we lost wages. You mentioned that. I think that absolutely contributed to it, and seeing those jobs come back is a great thing. And I just looked, I remember I chaired this subcommittee for 6 years, and if I remember correctly, the average time to unionize is 35 days on average. I dropped a bill yesterday called the Employee Rights Act, and I want to look after the employees. It requires a majority of all union members, not a simple majority of those who cast ballots to unionize. And this one is very near and dear to my heart because I put a uniform on, left this country over 40 years ago to protect the most sacrosanct right we have, and that is a secret ballot. Every single one of us up here was elected by a secret ballot. And if you want to unionize, you have an absolute right to do that. My dad was in the union, but you should have a secret ballot so you're not intimidated either, as Ms. Harper mentioned, either for or against. You can vote either way you want to. It's a mandated opt-in permission for each union member to utilize his or her union dues for any other activity other than collective bargaining, and direct all unionized workplaces to hold periodic secret ballot referendums to determine if employees wish to remain in their current union, since the majority of most members never voted on it. A safeguard to worker privacy by granting individuals the ability to opt out of sharing their personal information if they don't want to. And I could go on. There's more to this, but I'd like to ask a question to Mr. Todman, and this is I found interesting. A 2015 poll from the Opinion Research Corporation found that 81% of Democrats support the right to a secret ballot election, support a requirement that unions stand for periodic recertification, and support a requirement that unions receive opt-in permission from workers before using their dues on politics. Is this number surprising to you based on your experience representing employees around the country? Is your mic on?
Okay, sorry. These things represent fundamental American values. Secret ballot, not being forced to give money to organizations that you disagree with, having financial transparency with organizations that you're asked to support. All of these things are fundamental free speech, free association values. The Supreme Court in the Janus case just last term, and in a series of cases going back many decades, has recognized employees have the right to join unions and support unions, but also must have the equal right to not join, to refrain, to disassociate. And that's what we're talking about here. The right to join must include an equal right to refrain, because without that, then we're in Venezuela, let us say. So,
and the Americans vote for the representation here, as you mentioned, every 2 years, and they're guaranteed access to a secret ballot when doing so. And this way, Americans can hold their congressional representatives accountable. In your opinion, does the secret ballot in periodic elections bring more accountability to unionized workplaces?
Absolutely, because union officials will have to work to get the support of the employees they represent. Right now, if the employees have never voted, it's almost impossible for them to even get an election to determine whether the union has support or not. So the union officials have no real need to be accountable to the people they represent. But if there was automatic recertifications, they would have to work for that support.
I think, I kind of laugh about this, saying this tongue-in-cheek a little bit, but my wife claims she votes for me during these elections, but I don't know for sure because it's a secret ballot, and that way I can't intimidate her at the House to vote for me. I feel that strongly about. I think of anything we do, we should guarantee every American the right to vote unintimidated and with a secret ballot. Madam Chair, thank you very much. I yield back.